Hello everyone and welcome to Count. In this video, I want to go over filling out your tax organizer. This is the second step in the tax process and will not be available to you until after you've signed your engagement letter. If you've not already signed your engagement letter, please go back and watch that video for further instructions. After your engagement letter has been signed by all parties, if applicable, you will receive your tax organizer. Once you're logged into Count and you're on the home page, you will find your organizer under the Questionnaires tab. Once you click the Questionnaires tab, you will see that you have been assigned an organizer. On this screen, you will be able to see the status of your organizer or any previously completed organizer. If your organizer is in the assigned status, this means it still requires your attention and has not yet been submitted to us. Once your organizer is submitted, it will move to the submitted status. While your organizer is in the submitted or assigned status, you will still be able to go back in and make any changes that are necessary. Once we start to prep your taxes, we will lock your organizer. It is crucial that once we start to enter your information into our tax software that nothing changes. This is just to ensure there are no discrepancies. If you discover a necessary change after you have submitted your organizer and notice that it has been locked, please let us know so that we can work with you to update these changes. After all of your tax organizer information has been completed, we will move it to the done status. This does not mean your taxes are completed, just simply that we've entered all of your information into our tax software and it is ready to be reviewed and finalized by Lori. All right, so to fill out your organizer, you're simply going to click this tab. Once your organizer populates, make sure that you read through and answer each question and scroll all the way down till you get to the bottom. Once you get to the bottom of each section, you can click the Next button at the top right hand of the screen. All of the sections of the organizer are listed here on the left-hand side of the screen. You can jump to different sections at any point while filling out your tax organizer. I would suggest, though, using the Next button when you initially fill out the organizer just so you don't accidentally skip any sections, but at the end, if you need to go back, you can simply click on the section you want to go back to, and it'll bring you right there. You can also see which section you are currently working in, as it will be highlighted blue. If you see a question that has a red asterisk beside it, that means it is a mandatory question. You will not be able to submit your tax organizer without inputting an answer. So, also, if there is something strange or you want to provide us with additional information, you can do so by leaving a comment on that question. Simply click the comment button. You'll type whatever you want to leave us here, and then you'll click this blue button to submit your comment. The comment will be specific to that question, so you can leave comments for any questions that you'd like. The organizer will adjust based on your responses. So if you answer yes or you select a certain response to a question, it may open up additional questions or require that you attach a document. So for instance, if we look at question number 3 here, did we prepare your tax return for the prior tax year? If you answer yes, that means you are a current client of ours, and we would have your tax return on file for you, so you wouldn't need to upload your prior year tax return to us. If you're a new client or if you're a returning client and we did not prepare your prior year's taxes, you would answer no. Answering no to this question will populate a new tab here that will require you upload your prior year tax return. You can see here this is a mandatory question. So similar to mandatory attachments, similar to mandatory questions are going to be highlighted red and they're going to have a red asterisk. If it is not a mandatory attachment, you can see by the font being in white. To attach a document, simply click the Attachments button, and you'll click the plus button here. It will pull up your file directory on your computer, and you will be able to select which document you would like to upload from there. I do want to note, we do not need for you to upload documents outside of the organizer. The way that the system is set up, all responses to the organizer and documents will be compiled together very nice and neat. So if you upload documents outside of this organizer, it's going to be in a different location. It's not going to be associated with the organizer, so it very well could get lost. So make sure that when you're uploading tax documents, you only attach it to the tax organizer. Otherwise, it could get missed. I do also want to note when you're uploading documents, only upload a form one time. So if you feel like the form applies to multiple places and you've already uploaded it, do not upload it again. It will cause a lot of confusion. It's going to get very convoluted. We'll have to go in and clean it up, delete a lot of documents out. So just make sure that when you're uploading a document, you only upload it one time and one location. And if you're not sure where to upload something, I promise there's a spot. If you can't find it, you can always reach out and we'll help you. I do also want to point out when you're reading through your organizer, there are some questions in here that are just for your information. So for instance, if we look at question number 10 here, this is telling you how to set up an installment agreement. So if that's something that you would like to do, you can download either one of these documents and it'll give you all the instructions on how to do so. For itemized deductions, please be sure that you exceed these estimated amounts here. You will be charged for us to analyze your itemization, so if you do not come close to the amounts listed, do not itemize. If you are close to the estimates, please feel free to upload your documents. We will look at what you've provided and decide whether to itemize or to use the standard deduction, depending on which amount will give you the higher refund or lessen your amount owed. So similar to the questions before where I said that they're interactive, a little just based off your responses, the same goes with the itemizations here. So as you can see, it's currently selected that we will itemize, and if we scroll down here, we can see that there is a section for itemized deductions. If I click no, that I'm not going to itemize, that section will disappear. So the organizer will adjust as you continue to fill it out based on your responses. So for the itemized deductions, I do want to point out there's a worksheet here that you'll have to fill out. If you scroll down here, so you'll just need to enter the totals to each category response, and then you'll also need to attach the documents just so that we can have that as backup. So if you say that you have charity, make sure that you upload the receipts. If you paid property taxes and you list that amount here, make sure you upload that statement for us. Healthcare is another big one that I want to point out. So for healthcare, there's a thing called marketplace insurance. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. It is based off of your income. So what they will do is you will get a credit which will lessen your premium each month based on your income. And then at the end of the year, when you file taxes, they will compare your actual earned amount for the year to what you estimated. And so if you happen to make more money than what you estimated, they may require that you pay back some of the credit that they allotted you. If you already made too much money, they may not have given you a credit and it couldn't be a problem. But I just want to point that out because if you have marketplace insurance, you will receive a 1095-A form here. If by checking this, it will populate another question here. You can use these instructions to get it, but we have to have this form. It has to be filed with your taxes. If you have marketplace insurance and you don't let us know and don't provide this form, they will actually reject your taxes and we'll have to refile it. So we don't want that. Just make sure that if you have marketplace insurance, you follow these instructions to get that form. Okay, so now we go to the income source selection. So this is just going to be all the different forms of income that you could have. And as you select these, it's going to populate a attachment tab in this income source docs here. So if we say that we have wages, when I click here, it's going to ask that I upload a W-2. I do want to point out that if you are a 1099 contractor, as in you were paid as a 1099 contractor for a different company, then that is actually by our terms considered self-employment. And the reason we consider that as self-employment is because we want you to claim all of the expenses possible so that you're not having to pay more in, because when you're 1099, you don't pay any income taxes. So you will have to pay all that in when you file your taxes. So to kind of reduce that amount owed, we will claim that as self-employment, and then there will be different expenses that you can use to deduct what you have to pay in on taxes. And in a few minutes, I'll show you where you can find that section. I do also want to point out here, there are 3 different forms you can get based off of like interest income, dividend income, and stock sales. So for instance, if you only have an interest income account through one company, then you may just receive a 1099 INT. But if you also receive dividend income or you sold stocks through that same company, instead of receiving a document for interest, a document for dividends, and a document for stock sales, they will simply combine all of those together into a consolidated statement. The reason I want to point this out is if you select consolidated interest, dividend, and stock sales, when we get to this document, it's going to require that you upload a document for each one, but we wouldn't need 5 or 4 different documents because it's all going to be compiled in this one right here. So if you have a consolidated, just make sure that you only select consolidated. You do not need to select the others. That way you're only uploading the consolidated statement. If you have all the other ones, you would have to attach something for those or it wouldn't let you submit it. And we don't want you attaching the same document 4 times because again, it'll cause a lot of confusion and duplication. Okay, so back to the 1099s. If you are a 1099 contractor, like I said before, you're going to select that you have a business, a Schedule C here. It's going to populate another tab. You'll just say that you have one business, and then it's going to populate another tab. This is just in case if you have an actual business in addition to being 1099 for somebody, you could keep those expenses separate. Okay, so if you say who owns the business, this is going to be the contractor that's paid. You'll select that. And then you'll just go through and fill this out and provide us with as many expenses. If some of these don't apply to you, as you can see, some of these questions aren't mandatory. You can just skip it if it doesn't apply to you since it's not formally a business, you're just being self-contracted. So you'll go through here and then fill out as many expenses as possible, provide us with proof of that, and then we will go through and see if there's any deductions that we can get for you to lessen the amount owed. At the end, there's also some miscellaneous. You'll keep going. Once you get to the end, we just ask that you kindly leave us a review. Let us know if there's anything we need to change, anything you had issues with so we can work with you. And then once you've finished completing the entire organizer and you've attached all the documents and you've attached all the questions, you will be able to submit it. You can submit it by clicking this button here. If for some reason you missed a question or an attachment, it will not let you submit this. So if you come into that issue, you can filter it here and you can filter it by mandatory. This will populate all mandatory questions. And if you go back, you can also filter it by mandatory attachments. And this will just be a quick way for you to double check and see if where you missed something. That way you can get it attached or you can get that response answered. And then once everything's done, you'll just click the submit button. And that's it for the tax organizer. I hope this helps, but if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.